This is our group's presentation on the country of Sudan, made for African Business Topics class. These are the contents of the presentation which we will discuss moving forward.
I'm Bradley Ndokong, and I'm going to talk about the government organization and the geography of Sudan. Firstly, the government organization. The Federal Provisional Government of Sudan, created by the Constitution of Sudan, had the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary arms of government. Due to the military coup which occurred on April 11, 2019, the government of Sudan was led by the Transitional Military Power, or the TMC. The TMC was dissolved, giving its authority to the Council of Sudan on August 20, 2019. The head of state of Sudan is Abdel Fattah al-Burhan from the military party and has been there since the 25th of October 2021. The prime minister seat is vacant. Talking about legislation in Sudan, the country was recently in a transitional period following the signing of a comprehensive peace agreement on the 9th of January 2005. The newly formed national legislature, whose members were chosen in mid-2005, had two chambers, the National Assembly and the Council of State. The judiciary part arm of the government is made up of the Supreme Court and the Special Revolutionary Court. Sudan is divided into 26 states, each of which are governed by a governor and a council of ministers. Each member of each state of council of ministers were appointed by the president of the country. Talking about the geography of Sudan, Sudan was the third largest country in Africa after Algeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo, but this was before its separation. It is surrounded by parts of the Sahara Desert, the Libyan Desert to the west, and to the east the Nubian Desert. The most observed geographical features here are the sandy dunes. There is virtually no rainfall to the north and a few watery holes to the south of Sudan. There is an uneven population distribution due to the scarcity of water. Although Sudan lies within the tropics, the climate ranges from hyper-arid in the north to tropical wet and dry in the far south. The temperature in Sudan doesn't vary a lot, but what varies a lot are the length of the wet and the dry season. From January to March, the country is typically in the dry season, where temperatures can go as high as 48 degrees Celsius. From July to September, the country is typically in the wet season, where heavy rains and thunderstorms are observed. And there are two transitional seasons, one between the wet and dry, that is from April to July, and one between the dry and wet from October to December. That's all.
I'm Tareq, and I'm gonna talk about the employment, education, and the religion of the beautiful country Sudan. Employment. Sudan suffers from unemployment. The problem of unemployment in South Sudan is a national issue that should be handled with care. The rate of unemployment in South Sudan since 2011 has been growing in a geometric progression. Its source could be traced to the diversification of South Sudan's economy into the oil sector, agriculture, construction, etc., which provides fewer employment opportunities to its labor force. The performance and problems of government functioning vary regionally based on the application of the system by state employment opportunity in the country. The assessment of previous studies represents corruption and less efficiency in the day-to-day functioning of the public, private, and bilateral bodies in formulating and implementing policies to regulate and reducing unemployment in the country. Education. Mainly, the educational structure of the Republic of Sudan consists of a pre-primary, primary, secondary, and higher education. Pre-primary education is in the form of 2-year kindergarten for 4-year-old children, and it's not compulsory. The 8-year primary education is compulsory for children aged 6 to 13 years, but attendance has remained a major problem in both urban and rural areas. In 2011, only 45% attended primary schools, imagine, with the least attendance by the children in the rural areas at 20%. Secondary education is divided into the two programs. The first program is offered for 3 years and is aimed at preparing students for the higher education level. It offers subjects such as biology, chemistry, physics, and geography. The second and final program prepares students for gainful employment after graduation and offers 4-year courses like those offered by commercial, agricultural, technical, and teacher training schools. Finally, the higher education is under the responsibility of the National Council of Higher Education and the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research, which determines the policies and the direction of the country's higher educational system, consisting of 19 government-run and privately owned universities. And finally, I'm going to talk about the religion of Sudan. Sunni Islam is the majority religion in Sudan, representing 70% of the population, but is predominant in the north. Animist or indigenous beliefs have 25%, and Christianity has only 5% of the population, and together they are prevalent in the south. So yeah.
Hello, my name is Fadel and I'm going to talk about the country's financial information and its investment opportunities in Sudan. To begin with, the country's nominal GDP is 31 billion US dollar. The GDP per capita is 682 US dollar. Inflation rate change percentage is around 58%. The government revenue is around 13% of GDP, and the government gross debt is around 221 of GDP. Sudan is one of the largest and most geographically diverse states in Africa. It is also a country with a great economic potential and with a strategic location. Sudan offers many investment opportunities like transport, healthcare and health technology, public infrastructure, livestock, agro-processing, agriculture sectors, extractive industries, rare metals and minerals, oil and gas, consumer products. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Gvidas, and I'm going to talk about doing business in Sudan and the country's business etiquette. Compared to other African countries, it is relatively easy to start a business in Sudan, as it takes 32 days to get the paperwork done and 124 days to get construction permits. Tax severity is not a problem in Sudan, thereby favoring investments in the country. Getting electricity is pretty hard in this part of the world. Nevertheless, it is also quite easy to register property. Compared to most countries, the business cost in Sudan is immensely low, costing only around €6 just to register your company. As for Sudan's business etiquette, make sure to greet everyone appropriately when you arrive. Also, be aware that meetings may not commence or finish according to schedule. Meeting agendas may be interrupted by the prayer sessions of practicing Muslims. If you know that your Sudanese counterpart prays, it's a good idea to schedule in a break for the midday and afternoon prayers. Try to get to know everyone in the room better by engaging in a fair amount of small talk before starting a meeting. If the meeting is the first time people have met, expect its purpose to be about getting business associates acquainted. A decision is unlikely to be reached in initial conversations. Expect meetings to be interrupted either by people or mobile phones. If someone does arrive in the middle of a meeting, everyone is expected to greet them. Expect your Sudanese counterpart to barter in negotiations. The first offer is rarely seen as the final offer in Sudan. Be aware that some people may be reluctant to give a straight no, in order to avoid causing offense. Therefore, if you receive an empty or uncommitted response, it is best to interpret it as a negative one. Avoid trying to press strict deadlines on deals. The country has many things that it should work on. However, it holds a lot of potential to grow bigger and better. This marks the end of our presentation. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day.